Hi there and welcome to a new video. If you have been watching my other videos, you have probably noticed how much I like to create cutesy, girly and happy looks and things using bright and soft color palettes. It's true that I like that kind of aesthetic a lot, but I actually also have a huge soft spot for all things creepy. I've loved horror movies since I was a child and was always fascinated with topics related to the paranormal. Since it is Halloween time, I really wanted to have fun with the creepy theme and use the opportunity to create something a bit spooky. While thinking of different ideas, I came around this YouTube video from the channel Vision in Vintage, which showcases different creepy and in my opinion quite haunted looking decorations made with different antique doll parts. I've always loved the idea of haunted objects and especially haunted dolls and toys. If you like this type of spooky aesthetic, I really recommend taking a look at this channel. I will link it in the description. Looking at all these wonderful creepy objects and creations, I got inspired to create a haunted doll look. Here you can see some of the sketches I made. While gathering inspiration for this project, besides the YouTube channel, I also came around these photos of really creepy looking vintage dolls with heads featuring multiple different faces. Apparently these dolls were popular toys in the 1800s. I think these dolls are wonderfully horrific looking, and I became fascinated of creating an outfit with a doll face on the bodice of the dress to kind of look like the doll has a second face. And to make the design look even more haunted, I decided to add some hanging doll parts on the skirt and other creepy details. Overall, I want the outfit to heavily resemble antique dolls, so I want to make a lot of ruffles and incorporate lots of lacy details. The haunted doll concept is visually much less dramatic than more traditional horror type stuff featuring blood and guts, but I really think that's what makes the idea of a haunted object so creepy. There's just something so off-putting with the idea of a really innocent object like a toy being haunted by some mysterious energy. For this customizing project, I will be using this girl here. She's previously been featured in my angel video, but I think a ghostly look will suit her melancholic vibes perfectly as well. For this project, I decided to give her some new, better quality eyes I recently made. To bring everything to life, I want to focus on combining many different types of fabrics and textures for a really authentic antique doll vibe, and to also create a bit of a busy look which I think adds to the old haunted doll feel. Usually I like to use fairly simple fabric combinations in my project, so this will be a fun challenge. I will also be creating some interesting shoes for this outfit, so stick around to see me make them. Let's see how we can bring all of this to life. This time around, I want to start by creating the main part of this outfit, which this time will be the bodice part of the dress. I'm using 3 pattern pieces modified from an old pattern and cutting the middle part out of the main fabric. For the side pieces, I'm thinking of using some lace fabric and layering this brown chiffon fabric on top. I think this fabric and color combination gives off the kind of vintage doll vibe I'm going for. Something like as if the dress was maybe patched up by some child's mom 100 years ago after the child played with the doll too hard, you know? Something like that. After combining all the bodice pieces, we can move on to the sleeves, which will be a combination of a short puff sleeve and a long sleeve. I want to use a lot of lace on the sleeves, but it looks like we have a problem. Some of the lace is too wide. We absolutely cannot have anything new and fresh looking on this dress, so let's dye the lace a creamy vintage color. This was my first time trying out a polyester dye, and to be frank, I didn't really enjoy the process much. It was pretty messy. I guess it kinda matched the Halloween vibes though, mixing strange yellow and brown powder with water in a kettle. It took a few tries to get the right shade, but in the end I managed to get a nice antique white shade. Now we can continue sewing. I'm adding 2 layers of lace to the sleeve piece and sewing on a couple of pin tucks for a fancier look. I noticed many doll clothes from the Victorian era feature lace panel details, and I want to add one too at the middle of the sleeve. I'm also adding some pin tucks on both sides of the panel to create a really decorated look for the sleeves. For the bottom part, I'm layering some of this lace fabric and brown fabric again. I'm sewing lines across the fabric using thin elastic, which will create nice gathered look and will make the sleeve tighter at the bottom. I want the sleeve to flare out at the cuff, so I'm creating a wide sleeve cuff to later connect it to the rest of the sleeve. I'm once again layering different laces and fabrics to keep up with the fluffy antique doll style. Looking pretty nice so far. I gathered the upper sleeve piece and connected both sleeve pieces together. The sleeves are done now. The elastic on the brown part created this really nice bunched up effect. After connecting the sleeves to the bodice piece, we can get to the really fun part, sculpting the doll face. I created a little stencil to see how the size and shape will look like on the bodice, and after that I trace it on paper to make the sculpting process easier. Now let's start sculpting with polymer clay. Many of the classic horror movie haunted dolls look very clearly scary, but since this project is all about that subtle, unsettling kind of creepiness, I want to create a slightly creepy yet cute antique doll style face, kinda something in between those classic creepy haunted looking baby dolls and classic porcelain dolls which mimic little girls more than literal babies. I was pretty confident going into the sculpting, but while working on this clay piece, I very quickly noticed how challenging it is to create a face, even if it's not a realistic one. The most challenging part was to create a childlike looking face. I never really thought about how different adult features are from child ones, so I actually had to start over once since my first try looked way too mature. After this experience, I respect actual doll sculptors even more now. Since I was inspired by those multiple face dolls, and this doll face is supposed to be kinda like a second face to my BJD, I will give this face the opposite facial expression, which is a smiley face. I also sculpt some hair texture to accentuate the vintage doll feeling. After baking, I sand the face a bit, and now the base is done. Here you can see a comparison between the finished face and my first attempt. You can see the first try looks really adult-like. It's kinda cute though that they look a bit like parent and child. Now let's give her some paint. The doll that will wear this outfit has grey eyes, so let's give her second face some grey eyes too. Adding some highlights around the eyes. As well as painting her lips red and giving her some vintage style strong bottom eyelashes. I also accentuated some cracks on her face to enhance the creepy factor. Lastly, let's add some shading and stronger shadows with pastels to make her look less fresh-faced. I will also add some blushing to her cheeks. As a last step, I gave some gloss to her eyes to make them stand out more. Before gluing her onto the dress, I want to surround the face with a little lacy frame so that it looks like she's wearing a lacy bonnet. I add plenty of glue and then attach the face in the center. Let's work on the skirt. I will use the outfit's main fabric for the main skirt piece. To match the skirt to the sleeves, let's add the same type of lace panel to it. To keep up with the sleeve's fluffy look, let's make the hem fall by sewing some frilly lace to it. I will also add a cute ruffle on top of the lace. I also sewed the tiniest pin tacks on the skirt. I really like the subtle effect these tiny pin tacks give to the design. Now to gather this piece, and we can attach it to this other piece to create a two-tiered skirt. For some extra detail, I will sew on some lace on the seam in between the two skirt pieces. Now the skirt is mainly done and I think it's looking pretty cute. By the way guys, if you're enjoying this video so far, please give it a like and subscribe if you haven't yet. I really appreciate your support as always. Okay, now let's continue with our project. Let's work on the frills at the bottom of the skirt. The frills will play an important role in creating the layered, chunky type of look I'm going for with this outfit. For an interesting texture, I want to combine many layers of fabrics while still avoiding a heavy look, so let's use some flowy materials. I think the lace shining through makes for a really pretty effect, don't you think? Since this project is all about recreating that vintage doll feel and mixing and matching different fabrics and textures, I thought it would be fun to recycle some actual old fabrics. I have this skirt that I haven't worn in a long time, and I thought the tulle overlay on it would be a perfect addition to our dress's skirt ruffles. I made the edge a bit nicer looking with some lace, and now we can layer the tulle underneath the other fabric strips. Instead of sewing the ruffles onto the main skirt, I thought why not make a separate underskirt and sew them onto that instead. The underskirt will give the whole skirt more poof and also one more layer for that chunky vintage doll look that we're going for. Now we can marry both skirts together. loving how it looks so far. The lace got a weird blue stain on it, I think during the dyeing process, so let's just quickly fix it with a small ribbon on top. How about we add one more little layer to the dress? I don't want to hide the main fabric, so let's do a nice transparent tulle layer on the skirt with some brown chiffon wingy things to match with the brown on the bodice. After this, I attached the bodice to the skirt, and now it's time to finish the neckline and add other details. I thought adding these lacy little wings would look cute. They kind of look like wing-like ears. I finished the dress with a zipper at the back. The dress is of course not finished yet though, as we still have to add all the hanging doll limbs on it. But at this point, let's make the doll wear it together with some matching undergarments that I made. I want to take a small break from the clothes and focus on the shoes. Since it's a fall outfit, I wanted to try and make some Victorian-style boots for this doll. I'm using thin cream as well as some brown patterned faux leather for the shoes. I thought it would look cute to combine the two colors to make the shoes perfectly match the color scheme of the dress. I have a more in-depth shoemaking video on my channel, so check it out if you're interested. The process of making boots is quite different from making pumps, but also very fun. With the magic of editing, some snap buttons, mini roses, and lace, the boots are finished. Now back to the sewing. I want to make a frilly nightcap type bonnet similar to this picture here. I want it to look similar to the lacy frame surrounding the doll head on the bodice for a matching look. Here I'm tracing out the part which will create the brim of the bonnet. Since I wanted to have a very voluminous look, I'm using several layers of lace and frills and gathering them with the elastic method that I also used on the sleeves. I added some lining and ribbons for tying the hat in place. Now to just attach the back pieces and the bonnet is finished. Now let's make the doll limbs for the dress. I'm using the same materials as the ones I used for the doll face. I also want the style of the limbs to match the style of the face, so I'm mimicking those really old porcelain or perhaps clay dolls. If you look at pictures of them, they usually have childlike bodies and similarly round limbs, so I'm going for that kind of look with my sculpting. It was my first time sculpting hands and feet, so it definitely was a challenge, especially the hands. Luckily though, since I'm going for the creepy doll look this time, any kind of imperfections in the toes and fingers are more than welcome, since they add to the creepy feel. After baking the parts, we can paint them and add some shading with pastels. I'm using greenish-brown tones for the shading to make the doll parts look old and like they have been abandoned somewhere for at least 100 years. To really sell that vibe, I'm also painting on some cracks. You can see the leg looks much less fresh now. I wanted to add some smaller decorations to the doll limb necklace we're creating, so I got the idea to make these tiny roses with eyes in the center. These roses might actually be my favorite little detail of this whole outfit. I think they add a nice touch to the haunted object theme. I'm very happy with how strange they look. Now let's attach some chains to the limbs and decorate them with the roses and beads that match the theme. I'm trying to hang all the parts on the dress in a little bit of a disorganized way instead of a neat straight line. I kinda wanted to look like how maybe the parts have been moving on their own by a ghost or something. I'm also adding some chains here and there for a more necklace type of feel. Lastly, I want to give the doll a spooky little teddy bear as a mascot. I have this bear keychain I got for free with a purchase, and I think we can make her look a bit more spooky. The bear is looking a bit too new for my liking, so we need to fix that first. Luckily, I have a fluffy assistant who can maybe help me if we use some catnip on the bear. After my cat's assistance, the bear is looking much more suitable for this time's project, don't you think? To make her look even more beaten up, let's add some brown pastel shading. have one-eyed roses on the dress, so I don't think she needs her second eye either. This poor teddy bear has seen some stuff. And with the teddy bear all transformed, we can call this project finally finished. I had a ton of fun working on this project. Since I don't usually combine so many different fabrics and sculpted details in one project, it was really fun seeing all the materials come together. I really enjoyed sculpting the doll parts too, and it made me want to try more doll sculpting in the future. How did you like this project? What was your favorite detail about it? I would be really happy to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. I hope you all have a happy Halloween, and we will meet again in the next video. Bye!